Hello everyone, this is Dr. Milind Peshre, Professor at AISSMS College of Hotel Management and Catering Technology in Pune. Today we are going to discuss on a case on responding to changing market conditions. This is basically a case study inspired from the book Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Stephen Johnson. This case is going to run over 3 episodes, and this particular video is episode number 1, titled Who Moved My Customers. Before we begin with the case, I would like to put a few disclaimers. Let's begin with the introduction to the case. This case study is based on the characters and storyline of the book Who Moved My Cheese, and there are a few assumptions which are made. There are 2 business houses, mice and men, who are dealing in the same category of trade and in the same city. Each business house is run by 2 partners. The case relates the concept of cheese to customers. So whenever you hear the word cheese, relate it to the word customers. So let's begin with the first episode of the case study. Episode number 1, Who Moved My Customers?
That cheese, where is it? Who moved that cheese? Why is it gone?
So snip it out, let's find it. Get something better and scurry along.
Gonna get me some of that new cheese. Gonna get something better. Well, who moved that cheese? Where is it? Who moved that cheese? Why is it gone?
Gonna get some.
Who moved that cheese? Where is it? Who moved that cheese? Why has it gone?
Once long ago, in a land far away, there were 4 little characters that lived in a maze.
2 were mice named Sniff and Scurry.
And 2 were little people, the size of mice. Their names were Hem and Haw.
As different as the mice and little people were, they shared one thing in common. Each morning, they put on their running shoes and raced into the maze to look for their favorite cheese. Cheese being whatever was most important to them, what nourished them and made them happy.
For Sniff and Scurry, cheese was just cheese. But for Hem and Haw, cheese was more than just having something to eat. Finding it was a way of getting what they thought they needed. To them, cheese represented having security, or good health, or material things, or whatever they believed would make them happy.
For Haw, cheese meant living in a beautiful cottage with a loving family on Cheddar Lane.
To Hem, cheese meant being a big cheese, owning a mansion atop Camembert Hill. Sniff and Scurry had good instincts. Sniff would smell out the general direction of the cheese, and Scurry would race ahead.
But Hem and Haw had complex brains with beliefs and emotions that made finding their way in the maze more complicated and challenging. Rather than trusting their instincts, they relied on guidebooks and maps to help find their way in the maze.
In their own way, all 4 characters discovered what they were looking for. Eventually, each one arrived at Cheese Station C and discovered their own special cheese.
Sniff and Scurry woke early every day and ran the same route through the maze to Cheese Station C.
However, Hem and Haw woke later each day and strolled slowly over to Cheese Station C. After all, they knew where the cheese was and how to get there, and they assumed it would always be there.
This is fabulous. I'm so happy. There's enough cheese here to last us forever.
Hem and Haw put away their running shoes, thinking they wouldn't need them anymore.
They felt very secure in their familiar surroundings. Haw even decorated the walls with sayings.
Having cheese makes you happy.
Hem and Haw became very comfortable in Cheese Station C. They were not paying attention to what was happening around them.
Meanwhile, Sniff and Scurry inspected the area each morning. They noticed the changes that were taking place. They kept their running shoes around their necks so they could get to them quickly whenever they needed them again.
One morning, Sniff and Scurry arrived at Cheese Station C and discovered there was no cheese. They were not caught by surprise, since they noticed the supply of cheese had been getting older and smaller. The mice did not overanalyze or complicate things. The situation had changed, so Sniff and Scurry changed. They were soon off in search of new cheese.
Later that day, Hem and Haw arrive and are startled at the sight of an empty Cheese Station C.
What? No cheese? Who moved my cheese? It's not fair.
A nice and wonderful video, isn't it? So now let's see the observations of this particular case. Like I said earlier, there are two types of businessmen, men and the mice. So the men were going with the rule book. So they were following the rule book, they were following the guidelines which are established to do business, which also means that they were following others who did business. Because of this, they lacked the self-confidence and they were not self-reliant. Whereas the mice were believing in their instincts, they were following themselves. They were confident and exploratory. They were in the comfort zone with adequate customers, men basically. They didn't want to come out of it. They had a fear of unknown markets. So that is the reason men never wanted to explore the external market. Whereas the mice, they were looking out and exploring new markets and new customers for their business. They were getting ready for adapting to the changing conditions. The business was reducing and they were exploring newer markets. So they were getting ready for it. Customer base was reducing. This could be due to competition and probably because of lack of understanding of customers, lack of responsiveness to changing market conditions, like new competitors coming into the market, new trends coming into the market, changes in customer preferences. A lot of customers change their preferences over time. And if you are not able to tap those preferences correctly, they're going to go away from you. Men were busy enjoying and completely unaware of the situation. They never noticed that their customers are reducing gradually, and that is the reason they probably fell to the debt trap. They landed in a situation where they lost all the customers. They were completely unaware how they lost them. Now let's see what are the problems identified in this particular case. Going by the rule book or guidelines of business or basically following others, there would be a lot of successful businessmen and you would want to follow them. Being in the comfort zone, competitive market, loss of customers to your competitors, unaware about the changing market conditions, reluctance to explore newer markets, or basically the fear of the unknown. So these were the few problems which are identified. So let's see the possible ways of dealing with each of these problems. Firstly, going by the rule book, guidelines to follow a particular business, or basically following other successful businessmen. First and foremost, there is no harm in doing so. But remember that these are just guidelines and not commandments. So you have to take these as just guidelines. So you cannot follow them to the T. Every business is different from each other. So the ways of operating also differs. So you cannot fit one clothing to everyone. Believe in your instincts. Go through the tough roads to gain more experience and insight on various problems. So you have to believe in your inner voice. That is what it says. So if your inner voice says something, that you have to sometimes follow it. Don't ignore it because the rule book is not saying that. So follow your instincts. Being in the comfort zone. Now, this is the biggest problem when it comes to business, because a lot of people go into the comfort zone. And what happens is that they start exploring or keep changing. That is the only way out. You have to come out of the comfort zone as soon as possible. Never get stuck in routine. Do something new every day. If you are stuck into the routine, you tend to get comfortable with it. And even if it is not good for you, you still stick on doing that same thing every day. So do something different every day. Be ambitious and don't hesitate to take risks. You have to be ambitious. That will keep you going. That will keep you active. That will keep you alive. And do not hesitate to take risks, because risk is an integral part of every business. Competitive market. First and foremost, you are going to lose customers to your competitors. So be prepared. There cannot be a single business where competition is not going to come and your customers are not going to go to your competitors. So this is an inevitable part of any business. So be prepared. Product differentiation or innovation. That is the best thing that you could do to stay in the competition. You can differentiate your product slightly so that you come out of the competition, you come out of the price market. So product differentiation is the key in this competitive market. and innovation in your product, innovation in your systems, innovation in the style you're doing your business. Efficient customer relationship management to retain your customers. Your business has to be customer centric. So the customer has to be the focal point of your business. So you can apply efficient CRM to retain your customers. Your customers, you will have to take care of your customers. Otherwise, somebody else would. So you have to be careful about your customers. Unaware of the changing market conditions. Conduct periodic market surveys. You have to understand the pulse of the market. And for that, you have to be connected with the market. Take customer feedback and work on the weak links. Normally what happens is that we take customer feedback, we analyze them, we create an action plan, but we fail in implementation or execution of the action plan. So we would have to really work on the weak links. Otherwise, it is just halfway done. It is not going to solve any purpose. Be open to criticism. A lot of people are afraid of taking feedbacks because they're afraid of criticism. They do not want somebody else to criticize them. And that is the reason people do not take feedback. But believe me, if you get criticism front of your face, if these people, you do not give your customers who are criticizing you, if you do not give them a platform to criticize, they are going to go out and criticize in the open market. And that is going to be more dangerous for you. So it's better that you ask your customer to open up in front of you. You create a platform by way of feedback where he can open up with you. He can openly criticize you. So be open to criticism. Reluctance to explore new markets. Fear of the unknown. Attempt things that you are afraid of. It is the best thing to do in life. If you're afraid of something, just do it. Just go and do it. And that probably will get rid of the fear that is there in your mind. Change is the only constant. So keep exploring newer opportunities. Do not get stuck in one place. You have to constantly keep changing, and you have to constantly keep exploring newer opportunities. So don't be reluctant to explore new markets. Risk is an integral part of every business. So increase your appetite of taking risk, but be sure that it's a calculated risk. You cannot have a business without risk. There is a risk of loss of customers. There is a risk of your competitors having an upper edge above you. So all these risks are there in business. You have to move on. You have to increase your appetite. You have to increase your capacity of taking this kind of risk. Going to a newer market, exploring newer market probably sounds like a risk. But if it is a calculated risk, if you're prepared for it, if you're doing it in a phase-wise manner, and you've planned for this particular risk, then probably that will keep you afloat. So you will have to take that particular risk. So what is coming up? Coming up are the episodes 3 and 2 of this case study. So stay tuned, and thank you very much for watching this first episode of Who Moved My Customers. See you. Bye-bye.